Stay out of my way.
Oh, it really is an amazing story.
Epic, actually.
All right, there you are.
We're here.
Yes, so are we.
Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to a special edition of Real Talk with Rich and Jon. On this show, we discuss our favorite horror movies and the impact that they had on us. A recent episode covered the Phantasm franchise, which to me is my all-time favorite. Not one bad movie in all of the 5. Today, Jon and I welcome musician, actor, producer, writer, and activist. He's everybody's favorite badass ice cream man. Please welcome to the show the multi-talented Reggie Bannister, along with his lovely wife, Gigi. How are you?
Hi, thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show. Not too long. What happened was because of this pandemic, which you two are as hot as love. Shows. And Reggie and Gigi, I really do appreciate you doing this. So I know you had a long weekend, and I know that you weren't feeling well. So thank you very much for doing this. So it'll be quick and painless for you.
You're fine. We're fine. I'm kind of wiped, but
Right?
I'm good to go.
All right. Well,
First of all, please let me ask: are you guys healthy? Are you well? Is your families healthy and well?
yes. Yep. And
Yeah,
how are you?
My mind is great. No one got sick, so.
And how are you two?
Do any of you need any masks? Because you have some.
Do you have a Phantasm mask?
Well, that's what that's what Phan-con was all about. We all got together and to generate funds so that we could get masks.
Oh, that's great.
People that need them.
Yeah.
We even before we went live, we raised enough funds just from donations and from direct donations of masks and PPEs. Personal protection equipment, we
Wow.
sent out 500 masks across the country. And
That's amazing.
from
Wow.
California to Texas to Louisiana to someplace in the Midwest, Montana, and to Florida and New York. It was all over the place. And Phan-con drew people from, we had Gigi Edgley from Australia. We had people from Spain. We had people from all over the place.
Well, we
join
even
us.
sent one to Andrew Como.
I know, right?
Oh, all right.
Good.
I love it.
That's great.
That's great. I was telling Gigi before I met you several times at Rock and Shock, and I also met you at Fangoria years ago.
Yeah.
And you are by far the nicest, most accessible, down-to-earth celebrity I met. You had your own table. You talked to my brother and I for like an hour about everything. You never once said, all right, well, time, like you were there and you're like, you were like that with everybody. So it's so great. Like that was my favorite horror movie growing up, and so great to like meet people in the movie and say, wow,
dude.
he's even better than he is in the movie.
Hey, we love the shows, because that's where we get to meet the people that have been watching us all these years.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, they dig the same things that, we dig.
Yeah.
Nothing
had,
wrong with that.
We had I won't use her last name, but there was a young lady named Melissa that said that she thanked us. She sent us an email and she thanked us for the convention, and she said, that still sounds so weird that we did a convention.
Yeah.
Right?
Said that she thanked us because she said that she really was going through convention withdrawals. And,
Wow.
going, not being able to be with her friends, not being with her celebrity friends, and that's another one of the reasons that I really jumped in on this, because I was seeing some really scary messages on Facebook. I was both from fans and from celebrities. I was afraid, and I just went, wait a minute. There is nothing that a brick and mortar has that we can't do with a virtual convention.
Yep.
And all the more reason why we need to do it.
Yep.
So,
Well, no, I applaud you for taking the lead on this, because I think this is going to be the future. Maybe not all the way, but I think in the future sometimes.
yeah, I think I killed my industry the way Blair Witch killed video.
Well, I think it's great.
I'm the Blair Witch of conventions.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, because it's hard for people to travel all around.
They may change the first letter of it, though.
Perfect. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say that or just thinking?
Yeah, I heard it, Reggie.
I'm so excited about it that because there were so many glitches that went wrong. First of all, Zoom, shame on Zoom. Shame on Zoom. Their tech support was atrocious, and they were for any of us. And I mean, I'm not a stupid girl, and because let's face it, I was a hacker when I was in the military, and I had a bunch of others that were. We had a strong tech team on our group, and I had a consultant that was a Zoom specialist, and none of us could make the Zoom rooms, our breakout rooms to that were going to be our celebrity photo ops. We could not make them work, and we couldn't get tech support online to help. We couldn't get sales support. They told us through chat that they sent their sales groups home, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect, So shame on Zoom for that.
Gigi told him, go Zoom yourself.
I
Right?
did. But
Well,
I
Gigi.
tried it. And,
Well, Gigi's talking on me. I'm checking my checking account to make sure she ain't hacked into that yet.
No, I would never. Just because I can doesn't mean I will.
Remember, Gigi, I always liked you.
I know you did.
No, not too long ago. Because of the pandemic, I have a radio show. We can't really go have guests at the radio station anymore. So John and I started a show using Zoom, and we found out he and I have very similar tastes in movies.
It all started because I was a guest.
He was a guest on my radio show because he actually makes movies himself, Elmwood Productions. But while we were talking about it, we realized that we love Evil Dead, we love Phantasm, we love The Thing. So very recently, we did an episode all about the Phantasm franchise, and it's going very well with viewers on YouTube. They love the movie. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, and I was mentioning that we were going to have you on the show, and people were very excited.
Did you have a film watch?
Unfortunately, no. It's on YouTube right now under my channel. Rich Cyr is the last name. It's spelled Cyr, pronounced Cyr. So if you go under, I can even.
Before watching Phantasm, no, we were both already locked up. So I rewatched them all at home. He watched them all at home, and I got caught up because I hadn't seen a couple of them.
I will tell you that we did do the with Phan-con. We did the watch parties for all 5.
Awesome.
Well, there's quite a few other films, and there is lag time. Even though my first AD, Chad Kohler, he had a T1 line at his house, and he was uploading through that, and we still had lag time. So we did what we could.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in times like this, I mean, there's going to be a lot of, trying things out to see what works and what doesn't work, and hopefully we can master it. Like right now, this is our 3rd or 4th show with using Zoom, and it's starting to go very well. But there's going to be glitches here and there, especially since everybody's using it now.
That was the biggest issue is that now that you have, here's how I related to everyone is it's a lot like how WonderCon and Comic-Con, how they got slammed by the multimedia companies and television companies and the gaming companies, all of them coming in all at the same time. So trying to be I mean, there was until they put in T1 lines and they started adding like satellite trucks and whatnot. They started doing, and then hot spots and like that. Until they started doing that at on site, we couldn't even get a credit card transaction at our table. Okay.
Oh, really?
So, and one year, a couple of years ago, their registration crashed.
Oh my God.
To the point where their security guy, their head of their security, actually came and hid out at our table for about a half hour because he just needed to take a break because he couldn't understand that if next year's registration crashes, this year's registration crashes.
Yeah.
It's a lot like what they went through or what they go through because everybody's taking up broadband. And even though we think about how it's an infinite world, it's not. There's only so much broadband out there.
Well, we broadbands.
And
I mean,
until,
good-looking women, you
But
know,
don't
playing music. Come on.
it's not the same. Until we are fully 5G worldwide, or even really 6G worldwide. Yes, it's coming. We are, consider this. There are places such as the reservations, the native reservations. I have cousins who do not have internet, who do not have running water, who do not have electricity hardwired into their homes. They share electricity through an electrical cord that's powered into their cousins who actually have, a line drop down from the box. We have entire nations in Africa who still do not have power. We have entire nations in Brazil who still do not have power. Not everybody in Puerto Rico, which is one of our territories, has power yet.
Yep.
So
Awful.
until we have full access to power and internet, we're still going, it's not unusual that we're going to have this kind of infrastructure issues.
Yeah.
Trying to push this much information through a little tiny tube of toothpaste.
Yep. Well, you know what? I don't think we need 6G. We need Gigi. What I want to talk about is
that would be G squared.
it's going to be a long show. What I wanted to talk about was last weekend you had the first ever Phan-con, which was a virtual convention. How did that go?
It was off the hook.
Right.
It was off the
That
hook.
was great.
We had Gigi Edgley. We had we had Ms. Lugosi. We had
Kathy Lester, right?
Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
We had God.
Kind of cool, huh?
I mean,
Yep. Very cool.
my head was just like,
Didn't you have Alchemy from part 2? Wasn't she there?
Yes, we had all of the women of Phantasm.
Yes.
Look, this whole thing started with because we were ramping up for WonderCon because I'm directing. I wrote and directed and am directing the Women of Phantasm documentary.
Mhm.
Ah.
Called The Women of Phantasm, the documentary with balls.
I
Yeah.
like it.
The bold, the bad, the bold, the beautiful, the
Yes.
badass, right?
Well, the badass. I love that.
And so back in as early as February, when the virus jumped the pond, as they say, I saw it coming. I really did see it coming. And I thought it was going to hit us like a tsunami. And so I was like, there was already whispers that, this, that, and the other was going to cancel. And I went, I just had a bad feeling, and I went, all right, let's prepare. You know, what if? And I'm a contingency person. What if? And so we had a presentation called the Women of Phantasm Retrospective. It was a panel, a really huge panel we were going to be doing at WonderCon. And the women were all going to be there. We were going to be doing autographing. We were doing our panels. We had all of our tickets and registration. If you've ever been to a WonderCon or a Comic-Con, you know what it's like. You've got to get your IDs. You got to get your tickets, you got to get your registrations, your hotels, and all that stuff. You know, it's just, you have to register several times just to get through the door.
Just to show up, yeah.
Registrations, you know. So I knew that I just had a feeling that as soon as we got our tickets that it was going to be canceled, and that's exactly what happened. And so when it happened, we were already ready. We were already ready to go to Zoom, and we had been looking at other platforms. There was a group called AMC, American Movie Company, but they wanted, I mean, they wanted money like you know, like we just could not produce, as if we were Comic-Con, you know.
Right, it's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, no, you know, that's a champagne taste on your budget, okay?
No, we do that all the time, though. So,
Exactly.
So,
Trying, right? Yeah.
and then there was another really cool guy that I think he's called Buffalo 8, I think is the name of the company. And they were like, you know what? And by the way, AMC could do it within 10 days, you know, 10 days notice. Buffalo 8 could do it, but they needed a lot more time. And then we could do it on our own, you know. And there was, you know, there's Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. The one that had all of the bells and whistles that we needed was Zoom. And I just started cranking on a learning curve that looked like more like Mount Everest, you know, as far as the learning peak. And I just kind of drug my team along with me on the learning peak, you know, and we just cranked it out. So
I'm glad you're probably the first one to actually do a virtual online convention, which I think it's going to be maybe more of the norm now, because I think maybe for at least for a couple of years, I think celebrities and even people are becoming more hesitant to be in a crowded area, even if, you know, the government says, oh yeah, everything's fine. They're like, I don't know. So I think that you're definitely onto something, and I think more and more people can learn from what you did with this. So I'm glad it was a success.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. We had a blast, and the fans and the celebrities have decided that they do want to continue to do Phan-con on a regular basis.
That's
We're
great.
studying the stats now as to whether we should do it like a smaller version, like on a monthly breakout session, or
Yes.
if we want to do like a every 6 months on like some of these guys do. I could make a career out of it at this point. You know,
So what did you charge?
What they would like us to do. You know,
well, it's, you know,
they're so excited.
It's like Nike, you know, just do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I
like
always
making
love.
independent film. You just got to do it.
I love the DIY thing.
One formula that they're looking at that one brilliant fan. Our fans are incredibly smart.
I don't like to brag, but go ahead.
I know, Rich. You know, it's those 3 a.m. conversations you and I were having.
Yeah, but hey, Reggie's not supposed to know about that. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh boy, I'm out.
But one model that we're looking at is the concept of a membership format, and
That's a good idea. Yeah.
membership you get X number of meetings or something like that. So, you know, there's a lot of different ideas that are floating around out there right now. We're just
Well, Gigi, for the first one, how much did you charge for each person? Like, how much was it for the weekend?
It was 25, I think, for one day, and 50,
That's
54 for the 4 barrel, and 75 for the gold sphere.
wow.
And then we had a CUDA pass, which, because, did I mention how smart our guys are?
You did, but I never get sick of hearing it though.
The CUDA pass was reserved because we were going to be giving away a few special passes, and then we had to give some away to like the media and to VIP celebrities, and like before I even went live, they had already hacked, or they call it Zoom bombing. They had already Zoom bombed us and figured out the CUDA pass, and were registering under the CUDA passes, which, I'm sorry, Mama don't roll that way. They going boop, boop, boop. You know.
And what did Gigi?
I didn't come down on them like a ball. I just went, go back and register under a paid registration. And
Good for you.
Ed got in, and those who didn't.
All you have to say is, you play a good game, boy, but the game is over.
I did say that.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you.
Try.
Now, what did the CUDA pass include? Like, what could you get for the CUDA pass?
Full access, no pay.
Ah, very nice. So, Reggie, I am a huge fan of yours. I mean, I love Phantasm. Just the other day, I have Pluto TV. I was flipping through, and I saw Bloody Bible Camp. I love that movie, and I think Gigi, you produced that. Yeah. But it's you know what I think is your secret to success is that no matter what you're playing, no matter what role you're at, you're very likable. Your character you play is very likable, no matter who you are. Like in Bubba Ho-tep and Bloody Bible Camp, Reggie. You know what? John and I were talking about this in our Phantasm show. The one thing we really felt bad about is that you never got the woman. I'm sorry, Gigi, but we always wanted to see you get the woman. And the one woman you did get was Alchemy, and she ends up being the tall man.
All right, man. Now, you know, what's been a good trip about almost everything that we've been involved in, Gigi and I, and or both of us individually before we actually got together, is strong women. And, you know, Don Coscarelli, his mother, her name was Shirley. She was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, she was badass. Seriously. And
beautiful.
And, yeah, all the way. She had it all. She was gorgeous. She was
talented.
And she had the attitude that a woman needs to have. Actually, everybody needs to have, but women really need it because men are, you know, they grow up, you know, being pushed towards that.
They don't grow up.
That personality and that attitude. Women have to develop it on their own. It's really amazing, you know.
Yep.
But now it's getting much better, as I know you both can see.
Yes, we definitely can see.
Well,
I want to go back to the beginning for you. Speaking of Coscarelli, I mean, up until that point, you had two credits. One was Kenny and Company, and the other one was Jim, the World's Greatest. And they were both released in 1976. How did you meet Coscarelli and become involved with the movie Phantasm?
How'd you meet?
Well, the thing is that I used to, you know, I've been involved in theater, you know, like live theater, as well as film, for years and years. When I was just like a youngster, I think I'm still a youngster, aren't I? Yeah, okay. When I was just a kid, I was in and they had programs in elementary school. I mean, unbelievable, where you could, you know, work in a play, you know, take on a character as an actor, or, you know, be a director for a play. I remember this, elementary school. Can you believe that? We need that.
That's great.
Having
Yeah.
said that, what I'm trying to get to is, my whole life has been, I've had the opportunity to be involved in incredible artistic programs in schools as I grew up,
Yeah.
both theater arts, also music. For me, the music part was, singing and eventually, playing guitar and stuff like that, because I finally learned how to accompany my voice,
Yeah.
which I think everybody should know how to do that's a singer. Just my, thinking. Anyway.
How'd you meet?
Huh?
Circle games.
Yeah, circle games, right. Well, we did a bunch of one acts at Long Beach City College called Circle Games, one act plays. They were cool. There were like, I think 4 or 5 of them. 4, okay. And I was in all but one of them. Oh no, I was in all of them, but in one of them I played a dead body in a casket.
I'm glad you didn't become typecast.
Anyway.
So did you always want to become an actor from an early age?
Huh?
Did you always want to become an actor from an early age? You knew right from elementary school?
Oh yeah. When I tell this story a lot, but when I was like 3 years old, there was a guy that came to a store opening in a mall right just around the corner from our house in Bixby Knolls, Long Beach, California. And his name was, okay, hold on to this and check him out, Walkin' Charlie Aldridge.
That wasn't a stage name?
The guy, it had to do with who he was, really. It was very honest, because he was like a country entertainer. And he was lucky enough to get this show, this little TV sequence kind of show, the Walkin' Charlie Aldridge show. And so when I was a little kid, my mom, who was totally awesome and totally, put me out there whenever she could, and she heard that he was coming to this mall opening, a small mall. I mean, at that point, or in time, it was like huge. But it was, right around the corner from our house. And so she took me there. And Charlie Aldridge, Walkin' Charlie Aldridge, was doing his thing, like, hey, how are you? That kind of thing. There was a whole group of people gathered around this counter at a J.C. Penney's store, which was one of the big stores that was opening in the mall. And I, was just standing there, a little kid, like, I don't know, 3 years old. And Charlie Aldridge looked down at me and he said, well, what do you do, little boy? And I went, I sing. And he went, would you sing for us? And I said, yeah.
And the rest is history.
He actually picked me up. He looked at my folks and looked at him like, is this okay if I do this? They went, sure. My mom went, sure. And so he picked me up and put me on the counter, this like glass top counter thing, J.C. Penney's. And he said, what are you going to sing? And I said, well, I'm going to sing, if I'd have known you was coming, I'd have baked a cake. And he goes,
Never go wrong with that song.
you can't. You're absolutely right.
And he did. He sang the whole thing.
I sang the whole thing.
Nice.
Now, mind you, Reggie went on to be in choirs, school choirs.
Yeah.
He let's see, was it the Young Americans?
Young Americans.
No, I mean the ones that was started in your home. Was it the Young Americans or the other ones?
Oh my goodness. So I can't remember. It was such a productive period of
he was in
time.
the Young Americans. He was in the Greenwood County Singers.
Greenwood County Singers. Yeah.
They had 5 albums, the Greenwoods.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They were,
Well, I have to say,
he was on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Frank Sinatra's. He performed with, as a matter of fact,
The Hollywood Palace
the Hollywood
with George
Palace.
Burns.
Yep.
wow.
He had
Just a kid. I was just following along with what was going on.
Now, at the time when you were a kid, did you realize that you were among greatness? Did you realize like George Burns and Frank Sinatra and all these people were greats? Or did you just like, you were so young, you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm on the show.
I was a Nike commercial. Just do it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great.
That's what I live. That's my mentality too. I live by that.
In my youth, I was around a lot of celebrities, and you just kind of go, "There's this guy."
Mm-hmm. You get used to it. There's people too, or
Celebrity
it's a nice
doesn't
thing.
kind of phase you. I mean, you just kind of go, "There's this person is really important," and but you don't go crazy.
Yeah.
Over it.
Well, no, I agree. To me, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or a janitor. It's either a good person or a bad person. If you're a great person, so that's really all that matters to me too. It's like,
yeah. I mean, he sang with Steve Stills, Crosby, Stills. And
wow.
That's so cool.
We'd go over to my friend Van Dyke Park's apartment.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And just jam, Steve and me and Van Dyke, and then all of a sudden, Steve ran into Crosby and those guys, Dave Crosby and those guys, and they did that thing, that Crosby, Stills, and Nash thing.
I still think it would have been better if it was Crosby, Stills, and Bannister.
That could have happened,
Well, I have to say, my favorite collaboration of yours is you and Bill Thornby. I'm just a sitting here at midnight. That is probably the most catchy song. I can never get that. I've been singing it since 1979.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was, of course, that was Bill's song. I mean, he put that together.
He wrote the song, and Reggie did the composition.
I put it together, kind of, in terms of
The arrangement.
Yeah.
The arrangement.
And I really dug the song, so it was really a lot of fun playing the licks, Da 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 da.
It's one of my favorite parts in the film because
It was really great. When we did the watch party, we were all waiting. We were all sitting on the edge of our seats, and when it came up, and it was like da 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 da, and then it's like huh, da, da, all of us simultaneously were doing it. It was really
Well, from what I heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Coscarelli wanted a song, to have you two meet and start playing, but then the song was too long, so that's when you came with the and that sort of cut it short just to have like a 30-second little bluesy song, and that's how that song came about. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, it was always, because Don loved my music, and that was that. It's always great for an entertainer or anybody to say, "I love what you do,"
Yeah.
But especially an entertainer, especially a songwriter, an actor, or any kind of writer, that becomes a producer, writer, and down the line. But you know, for me to start off as early as I did, it was like, this is life. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Doing what I do, you know?
That's great.
Do it. Now, how did
Yeah.
your father become involved in Phantasm? He had that one scene at the funeral. He was the priest. Your
Yeah.
father.
And his
Yeah.
mother was a mourner.
Okay.
Proud as
Yeah.
a mourner, as was Don Coscarelli's mother and father.
So it was really fun for me and Don because we were able to get our moms and dads into a film that did pretty well, you know?
Yeah.
Look, there's my dad. Oh, there's mom. Oh, you know, and it was like that for both of us, you know?
That's cool.
Fun. I would encourage any film producer, writer, director, whoever does a film, if they can stick their parents in there,
Yeah.
that's a forever trip, you know?
Yeah.
It really
Well,
is.
didn't Coscarelli's mom? I think she did a novelization of the film. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it basically scenes that they didn't film? Like, because I heard it was a little bit. I didn't read it, and I tried to buy it from Amazon. It was sold out. But from what I heard, it's a little bit different. And it was like things they didn't put in the movie if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, it is a novelization, so
Yeah.
in novelizations you have to extrapolate on scenes and
Yeah.
characters, and you have to add backstory and like that. So that was to be expected.
Yeah, that's how they all are usually. Yeah, they kind of add, take away, and build on it. Yeah.
I think Coscarelli's biggest strength is getting the most out of his money. Like, you look at that first Phantasm, that still scares me. I mean, what I love is, and you could tell my our audience how the spheres were done. Spheres were done in the first one because I found that fascinating. Because back then they didn't have CGIs, and how I guess they had a baseball pitcher.
Yes, yes. They had them stand at one end of the room and literally took turns throwing the sphere and then reversing the film. And that's how you did it. That's how you do it. Old school back then and now.
Yep.
They
Still
shot,
the best way.
they shot on film, so you know, actual stock footage.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a lot of fun throwing those things down the mausoleum hallway. Great.
As a matter of fact, Reggie in Phantasm 5, there's a scene in the barn where the sphere bounces off of the pole and causes a spark.
Mhm.
So we had to have the sphere hit that just so, because it had to the flash paper had to hit it just so
Right.
to get that that spark. And so I'm actually the one that hit through the sphere, and Reggie is a really good coach, and I'm not a half bad pitcher. And Reggie coached me on the pitching, and that's how I actually I did it on the first try. As a matter of
did.
fact.
I guess Reggie's probably happy you didn't throw it at him on the day you were mad at him.
Well, it is a really good marital tool. I do kill my husband over and over and over again, usually on a 5-to-1 ratio, according to Don.
Well, probably for you, one of the big thrills of part one was, or all of the movies, was driving the 71 CUDA. That must have been great.
Well, you know, Don and I grew up in the same period, you know, basically. I mean, I was older than him, but the period lasted a long time. And it was that somebody like Don really loved that period of time that I grew up in, which was hot cars, hot babes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying.
Babes, boobs, muscle
Right.
cars,
And
and boobs.
and
The
trying,
American dream.
trying not to get caught
Yeah.
on a Saturday night
Yeah.
over on Cherry Avenue in Long Beach, which was a long, beautiful strip of road,
Yeah.
straight. We'd go out there and race, you know, our cars. We'd go over to this place called Grissinger's, which was like a hamburger drive-in type of place.
It's like
you know.
Mel's Diner.
Mel's
Nice.
you know, where you pull up and they bring the food to your car on a tray and like that. And yeah, that was Grissinger's, and it was awesome. It was right around the corner from my house, and then so everybody would go there. They'd bring their hot cars, their rods, you know, because there was a lot of shows then. Lion's Drag Strip
Yeah.
was really going on then. You know, guys like Gary Gabelich, who was a famous.
He broke the land speed record
Oh.
Yes,
several times.
sure did. So they were badass cars. Okay, so we would, you know, all gather around this little tiny burger joint where they'd bring, you know, food out to your car. But then, you know, everybody would, you know, pull up the hoods of their cars, and
Yeah.
you know, people would walk around and look at the engines, and you know, maybe a blower on a
Yeah.
Everybody got to show off their big blocks.
GTFB. I mean, you know what that means.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell my audience in case they don't?
Get the fuck out.
But anyway, it was so much fun. You guys would have loved it. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you know, we'd all get together. It brought people together. It was really cool. And
Now the funny thing is that that's what's happening in California at that time.
right.
Way over in Texas at the same time, I'm driving a black 70 Dodge Challenger with a 440 high-rise Holly carbs.
Bam, bam.
We called
bam.
her Playtex because she would lift and separate.
You two were made for each other.
Well, there is someday we'll do a parallel about how our lives were very close to intersecting several times.
That's far out.
And
Well, you know what I thought?
It was
What I thought.
fun.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It's all right.
No, what I wanted to say was I thought it was funny because in my research during part 2, when James LeGros, who played Michael in that one, flipped it, Coscarelli didn't realize what a collectible it was, so it was so hard for you to find a junk. You had to paint another car to make it look like the CUDA.
Right.
Because,
You know,
yeah, you do what you have to
Magic.
it is some things will never change. That's what it is. But don't you believe it?
Well, and then
Great
he
song, by
decided
the way.
to have the sunroof, and the sunroof eventually became the demise of that CUDA because it leaked. I mean, it leaked like a sieve, and it resulted in mold, and they couldn't save that one, and so the
Yeah.
one that survived was the third one, first one, I forget.
I don't know, the second one, I think.
I think it was the second one.
Or third. I'm not sure, but you know, he put
He
several
wised
together.
up. He wised up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think it was the second one.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of the second one, why did it take 9 years for the second one to be released?
Universal Studios.
Yep.
I used to work for Lou Wasserman's goddaughter at Universal, and my contract ended just before they released Phantasm 2. So I just missed the premiere. And oh man, I could have kicked their
very
asses. Man.
interesting.
Yes, the parallels again. Yeah.
You know?
There you go.
And that's all they talked about on the. I mean, literally, I used to go down at lunchtime. There's a 10 Universal is where I worked on the 10th floor, and I would go down at lunchtime to the courtyard, and what's his name? Columbo.
Peter Falk. Peter Falk.
Come through, and we'd hang out for a few minutes, you know, because I would like crack people up. I would animate the pigeons, and we would have bird talk, and it's hilarious. And but we were talking about this horror thing, and he hadn't heard of Phantasm, and I told him about Phantasm and like that, and so we actually discussed about that it was the premiere was coming out, and nobody knew about it but us.
Well, you know what I find so funny about that movie is Universal wanted the Phantasm franchise, but then they made everybody audition for their own roles. It's like, why you bought the franchise? You bought it because you liked the first one. Why not keep all the same actors?
Because
Okay.
there was a contract. They were all under contracts.
Plus, there was a disconnect.
Yeah.
Universal, you know, being this huge industrial conglomerate
Yeah.
company.
Clusterfuck.
Yeah.
What she said. But I'm serious, you know, it's
I
like
can say that I worked there.
they had people, they were paying people to go find product, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they didn't always listen to them when they found the product that they thought was going to make a lot of money and stuff. So that was the bag we found ourselves in with Universal. And finally, they came around. I forget exactly how it happened, but one person at Universal, one guy, I can't remember his name, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But he thought that Phantasm was fantastic.
Right.
And so Don,
With a PH.
he and Don started talking and stuff, and
They really hit it off.
they hit it off.
Good.
They made a deal together, and then this guy took
A 2-picture deal.
they took the deal to Universal and said, hey, we need you know, a couple of $1 million, and so, you know, and this is a great franchise and blah blah blah, and he sold it to Universal.
This is a kid. This is Don and his friend, and they were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're giving them an office on the back lot and a carte blanche. I mean,
Life is good.
life is fucking good. Yeah.
And I gotta go back to really seriously, and this is a great classic story as to how I met Don.
Yeah.
I was doing
You
one
tell
act.
them that I'm going to get another cocktail.
Okay.
I want to party with her.
I mean a tea.
Teamy. Oh, anyway, we were doing. I was really into the theater arts department at Long Beach City College, which at that time was really an excellent department, and so I would talk to the instructors who were actually able to make things happen. And I said, well, hey, let's do some one acts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we found a really terrific young writer, and he put together like 4 one-act plays, which, you know, one act is like 15, 20 minutes, you know? And so I was in, I think, all of them. Of course, in one of them, I played a dead body in a casket. So that wasn't a great part exactly, but it was pivotal. Anyway, there was one part that I had. It was about a guy who put an ad in the newspaper, and you probably remember this, when people needed roommates, and they would put an ad in the newspaper.
I've been there.
Did you do that? Okay.
Oh, I did it once, yeah.
And so it was a story about this guy that put an ad in the newspaper, and I showed up to answer the ad for a roommate for this guy, and I was flaming gay.
Yes.
And yeah, and it was really a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
And you wound up going across the stage in.
I wound up bouncing across the stage, you know, trying to impress my new roommate in a pair of what would you call them? Panties.
Pink
Oh, they
panties.
were pink, yeah.
Oh man.
You got to go with style, man. You got to be in style.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of style, for my. Anyway.
And
That's
Don,
that's it's actually scarier than the movie Phantasm. Try and get that image out of my head.
it's very
So-
scary.
Here's Don is in the audience, and he's watching me prance across the stage in my pink panties in character, and that was like on a Saturday night, and then the next Sunday, or that Sunday, the next day, I got a call from this guy who I'd never heard of before, never knew, a guy named Paul Pepperman. And he was a guy that was producing with Don film. So anyway, he said, hey, Don saw you last night in the plays, the 4 1-acts, and he's going to shoot a movie, and he has a part for you, and he'd really like you to be in it. And I said, cool. I said, how much work is it going to be? He goes, well, it'll be one day, pretty long day. Okay. I said, sure, that's fine. And I said, how much? And he said, $350. And I just went through the roof. $350? Hell, I guess I asked the right question, right? How much? And so I said, sure, man, when do I show up? Oh, we'll have a car come and pick you up. Okay,
Wow.
cool. Yeah, they had a car pick me up, and I went out to, the movie was called Jim the World's Greatest.
Yeah.
And I went out to someplace, some mountains in Palos Verdes, and we shot this. I played this crazy hang glider pilot. Huh?
Silas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was whacked.
Is it O.D. Silas?
O.D. Silingsley.
Odie's.
O.D. Silingsley. I wonder why they chose. Anyway, I was this kind of whacked out guy, and
Did you really fly?
Jim, huh?
Did you really fly? The parasail? The
Uh,
hang gliding?
did I really fly in the
Did you
parasail?
hang glide?
Yeah, no, I think I did. Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did
Mhm.
you do it inebriated?
Yeah. That's why he can't remember if he did any hang flying.
Why would
or
you-
Is
hang
that the
gliding.
only way to do it?
I know.
Why would you do that if you weren't screwed up? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Right.
What sober person's gonna hang glide?
I have got to do this parallel thing. I
Yeah.
got to do it because
Would
there's
that be
so
a
many.
universe?
No,
No.
I have got to do it because there's so many things that that correspond with our timelines.
Individually, you mean?
Oh yeah.
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 Well, you know what? That's definitely one book I would buy. So whenever you're ready to write.
I have no idea what to call it, but we'll figure it out. Maybe you can help me.
We'll talk after the show. Well, you know what's funny? I mean, I love the entire cast of Phantasm. I think that the movie, like parts 1, 3, 4, and 5 are the best. But it's funny, like there's two people that I don't think can ever be replaced.
Without any of them.
No, I know, but like Reggie and the Tall Man could never ever be replaced. And from what I heard, you can correct me. Do you know who they wanted to replace you with? I heard some names, and maybe do you know what name you?
There were some names, yeah.
Yeah.
Was some,
Jeffrey Tambor's one of the names I heard.
yes, Jeffrey Tambor. And the funny thing is that when you ask him, Jeffrey goes, "What?"
Uh-huh.
He's like, "What
Never made it to him. Yeah.
One of those things, you know.
You know, he just can't. I mean, he's just like, you know.
Do you know who they had in mind for the tall man besides Angus?
Oh,
I'm just curious of who Universal thought would be a good tall man.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Because
I think it's in Don's. I think it's in Don's indie book.
In the book he just put out, yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No.
By the way, indie. I have a true indie is an excellent book. Justin Hoffman. Dustin McNeil's Exhumed is a
Yes.
Yeah, I have not read the sequels to the two yet. Been a little busy, you know, writing my little script. But those two books are, and one book I really want to get is the compendium to Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Little backstory. An old friend of mine, Bijou Trimble, wrote the Star Trek compendium. Compendium. A long time ago, and we shared many glasses of wine over many filking songs at the feet of people like Isaac Asimov and Ray Bradbury.
Wow.
And Uncle Forey.
I used to hang out with those guys.
I know. I want to hang out with you, Gigi. You knew all the cool kids.
Well, I knew all the cool kids. I mean, Jimmy Doohan used to come to my birthday parties, you know, at the conventions, you know, drinking buddies.
Well, I got to meet Jimmy through
I
you.
know, yeah. He loved you because you both drank scotch.
Yeah, we both drank scotch. He was a great guy.
Yeah. What's your favorite scotch, John?
I don't have one, actually. I'm just learning about it in the past year, so it's like... So.
I'll tell you right off the bat. Black
Johnny
Label.
Walker, Black Label.
Yes.
I have a bottle of that in my freezer, yeah.
There you go, see? Copy that.
And, you know, if you don't have the bucks in your pocket to get that, Red Label.
And
Yeah.
thing. They'll talk to you ad nauseum about Blue Label, and there's a new one that's come out
Blue
called
Label is...
Yeah, there's a new one that's come out called the Gold Label. And it's like it's considered the quote unquote the diamond of the Johnny.
Oh, wow.
And it's we haven't tried that one yet, but I am told it's very smoky. And, and the Blue Label, I am not as and I'm a connoisseur of liquors, not alcohol, but liquors. Okay, I go for flavors. Okay, now I truly love the Johnny Walker Black Label as opposed to Blue Label. I'll take a Black Label over a Blue Label any day. I will personally knock the snot out of anyone who puts ice in who puts water in a Johnny Walker Black Label.
Ooh.
I'm dumping this right now.
No, yeah. I mean, no. You gotta have, it's gotta be there, you know?
There, maybe some rocks, that's fine.
Yeah.
Welcome to Alcohol Talk with Reggie and Gigi.
Ideally, you have the single rock, you know, ice, and pour it over it gently so you don't bruise it. Yeah, that's ideal.
I'm suddenly very thirsty.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, the films I've made, we've been fortunate enough to have some liqueur companies and beer companies sponsor us and things like that. And so, like, I'm always interested to try new things because you never know where it might lead. Yeah.
You don't. True story. We had on the Phan-con website, because I told them, I said, look, you have got to have fans are very simplistic people. They're intelligent, but they're very simplistic. They want a safe, cheap place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And for Phan-con, it was their own house,
Sure.
their own bed, in their jammies. Okay. They want access that doesn't cost a damn fortune to celebrities, their favorite celebrities, and their
Yep.
they want to be able to talk to them, and they want to be able to get their autographs. So that we have an exhibit hall, we have autograph rooms, and we have a food court.
Yeah.
Not have a convention without a food court.
How'd you pull that off? Yeah.
Because you go to the food court, and it has a list of companies that actually deliver to you, proven that across the country.
That's awesome.
And there are some, and they deliver all kinds of foods, and one of which is called I can't think of the name again, but it actually, you can gift a meal to anybody.
Oh, neat.
You can give the gift
cool,
of a meal.
Wow.
And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so I included those guys, and there's some that are plant-based meals. So I included those, and you cannot have a convention without alcohol.
Yes.
No, you cannot. Yeah.
Dos Equis actually gives you locations of where they will deliver.
That's great.
And then there's a friend of ours, you'll know the name, Andrew Devoff.
Yes. Wishmaster.
Yes. Andrew Devoff has Three Marms Brewery here in Crestline, California.
Yes, he does.
Nice.
Yes. And it's a
Good
wonderful,
stuff.
wonderful brewery. And so he was participating with us, so I linked to him as well. And then you got to have ice cream. So we had Tillamook ice cream and Rocket Pops.
Oh, nice.
Well, you obviously can leave the ice cream for Reggie. Reggie, the ice cream man. I'm sure he'll help you out.
Dos Equis was the first beer I ever got drunk on when I was 13.
And
Did I say that on the internet?
You did.
We had two gentlemen. This is what fandom is about. We had a family, PHA. No, we had a family that came to visit Crestline. I think it was 2 years ago. It was a son, grown ass son, but we had a son and his father. And they were here in Crestline, came to visit us, hooked up with us over at the Stockade Grub and Whiskey, true place in
That's the motto of the Stockade, by the way, Grub and Whiskey.
That's the
I
name.
love it.
Stockade Grub and Whiskey.
It's out of sight.
And they had Dos Equis with Reggie, and dinner and everything. And before they left, they had Reggie's autograph there. Oh, I can't reach it.
Uh-oh.
They had Reggie autographed their Jody ball. And
I've autographed a lot of balls, I gotta tell you.
They had Reggie autographed the Jody ball and 2 Dos Equis bottles.
That's great.
One for the guy and one for his father. Flash forward a year, and they had to move to, I think it was Tennessee, I think. And the bottles didn't make it. He writes to me and he says, it would mean the world to me if you guys would, well, I'll even pay for the autographs, if you would sign a couple of Dos Equis bottles. And this was right when the pandemic hit.
Oh.
So the first 2 weeks, I could not get Dos Equis in Crestline. But the third week.
Well, I was gonna ask why it took 37 years from the first to the last one, but all this drinking going on, I think I know why it took 37 years to make all this.
That's how I make movies too. I get it.
You understand. So
I do understand.
So I got them their Dos Equis bottles.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah. And to answer your question, okay, the first one, the time lapse between 1 and 2 was because Don was really not sure absolutely, he did not want to be pegged as a horror film director.
Mm-hmm.
Period, point blank.
Yeah.
And then Universal Studios came along. You gave him a really big, fat, expense account, and a backlot office, and him and Paul Pepperman went, okay, well, maybe one more.
Yeah, horror director doesn't sound so bad when you put it like that.
And then he says, well, it's a 2-picture deal. And you went, okay, well, okay, sure, no problem. I can do that.
Yeah.
So they did 1, and then they did 2, and then when they got through doing 2, Don was fed up. I mean, he was absolutely miserable because they lost their guy in the middle, their liaison, if you will, in the middle of this. He literally died in a plane crash, was it?
Oh.
I think it was a plane crash. And
wow.
so he was assigned a new guy. And the nuance, if you will, was gone. And you had a pencil pusher instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden it was, you had to account for every penny. Why is the script this way? I don't understand the story.
Not a creative person.
And then you are still obligated to do a third one.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to literally go up to Big Bear, disappear for, a couple of months at a cabin to try to come up with some
Big
kind
Bear,
of,
which is up here in the
Yeah.
San Bernardino Valley.
to try to figure out another story, Now,
Well, didn't Universal refuse to theatrically distribute the film because Universal and Coscarelli couldn't see eye to eye?
No. It was the new trend. I can tell you that because, again, I worked there. It was the new trend that was coming down. Movies under a certain budget
Right.
were automatically, hands down, period, point blank, they were shoved over to,
To video.
Viacom, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you didn't have anything to say about it. And the reason was because Universal, forget the actors, forget the director, but Universal could make more money that way than theatricals.
That makes sense.
Okay,
It's
so
one of those funny periods in any industry,
Yeah.
Things change.
now it would have, now this is why, or I should say, this is where fans say that I came in.
All right.
Words, not me, their words. Reggie and I met in 1994. Okay, Reggie was furious, boiling down, furious that Universal did this, and he wanted to know how to promote. He said, "God damn it, if they're not going to promote it, he'll promote it. How can he promote it?" So he calls up Michael Berryman.
Yes, Hills Have Eyes.
And Evil Spirits and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and
Well, we used to talk all the time, and we were just having this conversation one day.
And
You
he
know, and
says,
I was talking about Phantasm and how, you know, it wasn't, you know, distributors weren't getting behind it. You know, it was like, oh, let's just throw it out
hell,
there.
they weren't getting behind
low
much of
budget.
anything.
You know.
Yeah. So
So
and
I
Michael
talked
was
to Michael.
and Michael was actually saying, hell, you know, they're not getting behind my shit either. You know, so.
Yeah.
But
To me,
Michael said, you need to talk to this other chick that I know because she runs the Wolf Pack.
This other chick.
And
all right.
so let me give you her number. He
Yeah.
called me up. I had just moved into Chrissy.
And who was the Wolf Pack? I mean,
well, let's see, R.A. Mihailoff, Vernon Wells,
oh, that guy.
Walter Koenig,
Oh,
Julie
Walter.
Parrish,
Ah,
Wow.
Dutch. I mean,
Debbie
there's
Dutch.
it just on and on and on. So I had 26.
We love our scream
I think it was
queens.
26 something
you.
in the Wolf Pack, and I had a waiting list. And the reason the waiting list is because of the time, you didn't want, you had to. I'm very adamant about branding, and so there were people at the time. Angelique Pettyjohn was one of the people that was in the brand, or she was in the Wolfpack, but she very quickly was about to be not in the Wolfpack because of, you know, not taking her brand seriously.
Mhm.
And she was in Las Vegas and not taking it seriously and so on and so forth. So I really handpicked people that cared about their brand and who would work hard to protect their brand. So it really had a lot to do with that. So
You know what, Gigi? I have a new nickname for you. You are the anti-Yoko.
so I get this phone call, and I had just moved into Chrissy McNichol's house, and my lead client at the time was Elizabeth Brooks from The Howling.
Yes.
And I get this phone call, and it's like, "Hi, my name is Reggie Bannister. I don't know if you know me, but he goes, my work is Phantasm." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm very familiar with your work."
I had no clue that she was.
He goes, "Michael Berryman gave me your number, and he says that you could do a lot for and he tells me what happened. I'm like, "Holy." And he goes, I wonder if you'd like to come to a screening." And I'm like, well, could I bring a guest with me? Well, yeah, sure. And so me and Elizabeth Brooks go to the screening. And and so we get there, and she says, "How are we ever going to recognize this guy?" And I went, "Trust me, I know this guy."
Well, you know what, Reggie? It's finally good to see you get the girl.
Hey, how about that?
So
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
We meet, we shake hands. He thinks I have the biggest stick up my ass in the world. Feel like someone reached in and grabbed my soul. But we struck gold on a business level.
All right.
We immediately began doing business together. I started booking him like crazy, and we started reducing the Wolfpack down to a smaller group, and
So we could all get booked in the same show.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It makes travel a lot easier, right?
We could travel a lot easier because literally,
sure.
Creation Entertainment. I booked us all into. There was 13 of us that we booked into Creation's Grand Slam, I think it was. And I walked out and I caught Laura saying, "Well, she called us Gigi Circus." And I was like, "Okay, that's bad. That's real bad." And so I immediately said, "We got to cut this down to like about 6 or 8. You know, we got to cut it down to a really nice, manageable group." And so we immediately started cutting
So
people
it was
back.
Barnum and Gigi, right?
No, it was Bannister and Gigi.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And we immediately started booking everybody into like really one after another, like about one a month. And we really started cranking it out.
Yeah.
And
Great.
and that's how we started promoting Phantasm 3 and the franchise.
Yes.
Next thing you know, we got Chiller Theater. Chiller Theater, we came back to Don Coscarelli after Chiller Theater. Man, by the way, we busted ass at Chiller Theater. We came home with something like, I think it was $6,000.
Wow.
Like that
This is like 94, 95, right?
Yeah. Well, we had no idea.
That was,
That's great.
I believe it was October of 94, I want to say. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could have been 95.
But that's huge. Yeah.
We came back, that was big bucks back then. Came back to Don Coscarelli. We had a video game offer. We had a merch offer. We had,
Yeah.
let's see,
It's very cool.
what do you call it? Action figures, a script offer, and I forget something else. One other thing.
Yeah.
5 offers, right?
Wow.
It's fantastic.
You definitely have the best PHANS. You definitely do.
But nothing happened from any of that coming out of it?
No, he wouldn't look at them.
Oh, really? Don wouldn't?
Yeah, no, because
Burnt out.
he has a singular vision. See, and he has his, he's an Aquarian like I am, and he has a brand vision of his own, right?
I can relate to that.
And exactly, right?
I'm an Aquarian. Yeah.
There you go, see? And so he knows what his concept is. And so it took a while before Phantasm 4 came up. Phantasm 4 did come up. Oh, it was a comic book. That was the 5th one.
Yeah.
So Phantasm 4 came
right.
up, and
Steve Romano, right?
Steve
Did the
Romano,
comic
right.
book thing.
Yeah. But Phantasm 4 finally did come up, and first we did Bubba Ho-tep, then we did Phantasm 4, and it cranked. It cranked out, and then and it didn't take us any time at all to knock it out either. There was not a lot of distance,
between.
But then when we did 5, it took us 7 years.
Yeah.
Well, that originally started as a web series. Is that correct?
We were doing, we were. It was really that was the true spirit of experimental. When someone says an experimental project,
Yeah.
that is truly a good exemplar of an experimental project, because John went to David. David was shooting some successful short films, and Don really liked the product. So he said, "Okay, so let's just try some stuff." He had already shot a table read of a script he liked, and it wasn't meshing, but it was good. And then he went back to David and he said, "All right, let's try this. Let's try some, we don't know how it's going to go, but let's try something as if it's like going to maybe some webisodics." And that was a big thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so David says, "Sure, why not?" And Dawn Cody, Dawn had worked with David on quite a few other shorts. She already had a nice relationship with the director. She was a really strong actress, very pretty, and very versatile. So she was ready. She was ready. And then we had shot quite a bit of stuff, and we called it Reggie Tales.
Yeah.
And it was hugely under the DL, right?
Yeah.
I kept getting, people make fun of me about how high my security is on my computers. They weren't making fun of me then.
No.
Because I kept getting bombarded with hacks, and at one point, someone did try to penetrate, and the only thing they got, because I have like, I think back then I had like 3 or 4 layers, and the only thing they managed to get was one photo, and it was Reggie with the pistol and the duffel bag, and in Challenger Park, and that wearing the plaid shirt, and that was the only thing they got, because they were searching using the search word script, and they're so stupid as to put anything under script. Wow, I'm really insulted by that, right? But they couldn't find anything. I was able to block pretty much everything. I had to go and change passwords out the ass, and put up another algorithm that blocked it. And but then the project really started coalescing, and David Hartman is truly a brilliant gentleman.
Yeah.
And a really cool storyteller, because he really thinks in comic book terms, right? Graphic novel terms. So he really saw this in terms of a graphic novel. And when he started putting the two together, we really started cranking out stories. And that's when the concept really started coming together. And, they kept saying, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what this is becoming. And at one point, Coscarelli just went, we have too much to be a webisodic. We're beyond that. David, we really need to go for a full-on feature. And since you're the director and you've been directing all this time, you need to direct it. And David went, what?
She's probably floored. Yeah.
You know what? Go back to what Nike says. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it. That's it, man.
You know what I like best about Ravager is that they brought everybody back. Kathy Lester, they brought even Rocky back.
Right. Me too.
That Ravager to me was a great way to end the franchise.
Yeah. Is it the end?
Well, I guess I have a question for you regarding that. I don't know how true this is, and I'm glad you're here. You can debunk it if it's not true. I heard that they also wanted to start this as a trilogy about Mike's coming of age.
Wow, I haven't heard that one.
I think he already was of age, right?
Yeah. No, that's what they were saying, and that was when we did our show on the Phantasm franchise. I read that somewhere, but that's why you are the Phantasm franchise. So if you're saying no, never heard it.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. Another thing, Michael produced or co-produced on Phantasm 4. Reggie and I co-produced on 5. Michael was, when he was producing, he was so fastidious about his duties as a producer. He he teaches film. He teaches acting. He's really brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
He has a really technical mind as regards to filmmaking. You can see him when he's on set. He's analyzing not only he to the untrained eye. He looks like he's just kind of just kind of jacking off. As far I didn't say that. That's not,
Don't worry. This is not a family-friendly show. Don't worry.
no. I'm thinking of what Michael's the hell that Michael.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Michael. I didn't mean that, baby.
What's the trip about Michael is that I first met him when we did Kenny and Company.
Yeah, he was just a little kid.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I was his teacher, and he was I was so impressed with him. You know, he was just a little kid. He was like 12 or something. I can't
Right.
remember.
Yeah.
And he's the smartest kid on set. I mean, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
He's brilliant.
But man, he just caught on to everything, and
Yeah.
he took everything and just ran with it.
And that's
in a
what
very
I was trying to
creative
say.
way, you know.
You know,
So
everybody thinks that he's just kind of, you know, futzing around, but he's not.
He's not futzing around. He's not jacking
That's
off.
great, yeah.
He observes everything. He doesn't miss anything.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
And he'll store something away, and he brings it back when he's got a. It's like his little toolkit, you know, and he brings it out when he needs it, you know.
Which is really the way we should all be, to be honest.
Yeah. And then on Phantasm 5, let me first of all, Phantasm 4, we used to make, you know, little jokes about furtive glances and like that. But let me tell you something. He was hot, smoking hot in his appearances in Phantasm 4. I mean, he was really a good-looking dude, you know, in those shots on Phantasm 4.
Hair, the eyes, you know.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, especially like the scenes we shot in the Alabama hills. Oh, and then physically demanding in the scenes that we shot where he's like the hanging scenes.
Yes, in the desert.
It was fucking cold out there. You know, there's nothing to keep the heat in, right? No. And they were grueling hours.
Fucking is with a PH, right?
PH.
Yeah, right.
There were grueling hours, right? Because he had his producership duties and his actor duties, right? And so, and there was, oh God, everything was going wrong, and then nothing was going wrong, and then nothing. Oh, and then he really many times he was pulling things together, right?
Well, you know what I like about that movie is that that's one of the few movies that works using deleted scenes from another movie, the first one, and making a whole movie around that. And I loved the whole backstory, Jebediah Morningside. I thought part 4 was probably one of my favorites out of the series because it's just normally I'm all about simplicity where less is more, but I love the fact how they sort of explained it without giving everything away about Jebediah Morningside, and they went back, you know, where he's hanging himself, and they show the deleted scene from part 1. I thought it was very well put together.
Yeah, a lot of fans told us that, and the World War II. I'm sorry, the Civil War.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
really cool.
A friend of ours who, God bless him, he's gone, but he was Count Boring Geeky for Nightmares Cafe. He was, you know, one of my guys from Nightmares Cafe, and Reggie's stepson Jason was the lieutenant for the general, Count Boring Geeky, who played the general or colonel, I forget which, in that scene. You had Roger Avery, you had Guy Thorpe, you had there was all these Easter eggs in that scene, and then Bob Ivy leads off the scene riding the horse, you know.
Yep.
Brilliant. And then what do?
Really?
I go and kill Misty in the horse, you know, in
Misty
5.
the horse, right? Gets a
Different.
ball forehead.
I realized over the weekend, how much Misty looks like the horse in 4.
Now, you mentioned Roger Avery. Do you know, because I know originally Roger Avery wrote a script entitled Phantasm 1999, and that was going to be the sequel, but it was too, like, the budget couldn't afford what he wanted.
Right. Exactly.
What was the story that he wanted? Like, in a nutshell. Do you know?
We're living in it.
Oh, really? Oh, so it's sort of like we're quarantined and we're all in the tall man's world, huh?
Yeah, there's a thing called the baggers, and you actually see some of the baggers in the credit roll-ups. You see the scenes that are playing out, uh, are pulling these people away, and they put the bags over their heads, and their heads are bulging and everything. Put the bags over the heads, and the heads explode. Those are baggers.
Ah,
and and so that was part of Roger's concepts, and that's why Don gives Roger Avery, as well as Steve Romano and some others, um, gives them thank yous in credits, credit roll up, because
Right.
a lot of what was incorporated in the script
Were
was
concepts
takeoffs.
from
Yeah,
them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
wow. So then, Phantasm Oblivion, that was like I said, most was from what I heard. Actually, no, this is what impressed me about that movie was that, you know, I guess the budget that you had was so small that fans were giving you videos of the spheres, and you were forwarding those to Coscarelli and say, "Look at this," and fans were actually helping you with the movie creating the spheres. Is that,
No,
do I have that correct?
what happened was we were editing our protest music video called "Love That's Gone." We were protesting the slaughter of the Yellowstone buffalo, um, and so we were at an editing studio. Our friend, our dear friend David Sterling, says, "Gigi, Reggie, you have got to meet this guy downstairs. He has this scene. You have got to see it." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, okay, David." And because I'm just focused on trying to get this video out, right? And because it was a very, very difficult project. I mean, emotionally for me to go through, because I'm watching buffaloes being slaughtered. Okay, so I'm trying to get this music video out, and so at one point, finally, he takes me aside and he goes, "Gigi, just come and watch it. It's just a few seconds long, but I'm telling you, you're gonna want this." And I went. He goes, "Do you trust me?" And I went, "Of course I trust you." He goes, "You got to see it." I went, "Okay." So I took a break and I went downstairs. It was the next floor down, and I saw it and I went. I could not get upstairs fast enough to grab Reggie to bring him upstairs. Brought Reggie downstairs, and he and I sat there for a minute. We played again. We played it a third time, and Reggie and I just did one of these. And he says, "Can you get Don to put it in?" I went, "Yeah, I'm going to get Don to put this. I will get Don to put this in."
That's great.
So I told the
She's
young man,
badass.
He is.
I said, "Can you render this in a higher resolution?" He goes, "Of course I can." I went, "Okay, fine. Just burn me a copy and give it to me. I'm not going to promise you anything, okay? But if I can get this into the next one, what do you want for it?" He goes, "I don't care. I'll do it for free." I went, "Eh." Ass, gas, or grass, nobody rides for free. I said, "Look,
That's great.
if I can get you $2,000, will you do that?" He goes, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." I mean, "Okay, fine. So give me a copy of it." So he gives me a copy of it. The next day, we were going to, now I can't think of Scott's last name, but it was Scott. Anyway, Scott was our editor. We were going to the edit suite. So we go in. Don's there, Scott's there, and we say our good graces and everything. And I say, "Don," we sit Don down, or actually Reggie's sat Don down, and he goes, "Don, we have something you have got to see before we do anything else." And Don goes, "Well, Reg, we're on a tight schedule
Tight
here.
schedule,
And
budget,
you know, money,
blah,
money,
blah,
money, blah, blah. Don, I will get up and leave if you don't, and he had ADR to do. I will get up and leave if you don't watch this. Well,
Wow.
all right, sure.
Oh,
So we hand him the I forget what it was, whatever it was, the DVD or the drive, whatever it was. I
Yep.
hand it to him, and he sees it, and he almost falls on the floor, right? And the editor was just salivating, right? And they watch it again, and they watch it again, and he's like, "Wow, it's the Swarm, right?" And he goes, "Wow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." I said, "Do you want it?" He goes, "Well, Gigi, we don't have any money." I went, "I didn't ask you that." I said, "Do you want it?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, of course we want it." And then Reggie and he start into this conversation, right? Reggie and he is starting to, Reggie's telling him how we met the guy and who he is, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I'm on the phone calling the guy up, right? I'm not taking no for an answer. I call the guy up, and I said, "Are you there? Are you going to hang for a minute?" "Yeah, I'll hang for a minute." I said, "Hold on a second." So I have the guy on the phone, and I go, "Don, can you do $2,000? What? For what?" I mean, for the licensing. He will completely give you whatever you need to make the rendering on this work for $2,000. Can you do $2,000? I'll give you $2,000. Just make it happen.
All right.
nice.
Well, you know what?
No,
What I like about that movie is that other people rallied around to help you out too. K&B came and helped with some of the effects.
In VFX, we were sitting there doing autograph signing for, was it Wishmaster?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting there for Wishmaster, and Reggie sits down next to Bob Kurtzman and Greg Nicotero, and he tries to do this little song and dance, and they go, "Reggie, if you want us to work on Phantasm 4, just tell Jon. Don't worry about the money. Just tell him to call us." And he goes, "Okay." And that's how we did it.
And the rest is history. Well, you worked with some great actors. One movie in particular with Bubba ho-tep you mentioned. In one movie, Bruce Campbell, Daniel Roebuck, who was on my show at one time. He's a great guy. And Ozzie Davis. Those three alone. Such a great movie. And then you're reunited with Coscarelli in that one as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about Bruce Campbell. Bruce was Elvis.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Well, on the DVD and the commentary, he does a whole commentary track just as Elvis.
The moment he was in a costume, he did. I mean, he was a method actor.
Yeah.
And so he didn't exist outside of Elvis after that until he was completely out of makeup.
Until it was done, finished.
Yeah.
Well, I like the
guess
fact
if you're
that
playing Elvis, that's the way to do it. You know?
It is. It really is.
Well, I like the fact that the author, Joe Lansdale, said, "How the hell are you going to make this into a movie?" But Coscarelli, once again, pulls it off.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easy either because let me tell you, he was at the sanitarium that he was at. The location was brutal. It was brutal, so it wasn't easy.
Why was it brutal?
Yeah, no.
Oh, it wasn't Loma Vista?
No, it was a different place.
Okay.
What was so brutal about it?
It was just the physical location. I mean, yet again, it was another rundown facility. It was physically challenging to be there. You know,
Not comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, as we say, there were some residents
Four-legged ones?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, for people who don't know what the concept is, it's Bruce Campbell plays Elvis, Ozzie Davis plays JFK. They're in a convalescent home and they're going after a mummy. Now,
Great
it doesn't get better than that.
In East Texas.
Yes.
in East Texas. There you go.
When I'm doing research on you, there's one movie I wanted to see, and I guess you co-produced and starred in the sequel to Salem's Lot called One for the Road.
Oh, One for the Road. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
another brutal film.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay, One for the Road was one that we shot here locally in Crestline.
Right.
The upside was that we absolutely adore the director, Paul
Right.
Ward from
He
Ireland.
was from Ireland. Yeah.
He is one of the most talented, brilliant young directors. We still, to this day, we stay in touch with him, and we want to work. We're hoping to work with him on a film called Mute, which is another Stephen King dollar baby.
okay.
But that's which One for the Road was a dollar baby. And
Okay, yeah.
we got the locations, all the locations for it, for One for the Road, and we shot primarily out on the Backyard Equestrian Center Ranch, which is where we shot Bloody Bible Camp. And,
Yes.
the barn scenes and the cabin scenes for Phantasm 5, the exterior cabin scenes, Phantasm 5, Ravager, and the we also procured the bar scene was the Twin Peaks Antlers Inn. It was a historical place, and that's a really cool place. Yeah. So
Now,
we
was
had
it
amazing friends. A lot of our friends who were members of the community that appeared in that as well.
was that written by Stephen King? The
Yeah.
sequel? It was?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And that came out, what, 97, 98?
No,
Yeah.
no, honey. That
Oh
was
no,
small
I was
small
going to
town.
say that Antlers Inn was where Chris Pine
Yeah,
played, his music with his band
that was
in
Small Town Saturday Night.
a small town Saturday night.
Cool.
We also
A lot of fun.
Small Town Saturday Night. Oh, oops, sorry. Saturday night we did 33 locations on a $5,000 location budget.
Amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
Chris Pine,
But
Robert
we can
Pine,
do that.
oh God, I can't even think of how all the names that were in
Oh,
yeah,
a lot of great people.
including Reggie and I. We were both in it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have to check that out. That's one of the
I
few
played a
movies of
Cheryl
yours I
Gal
didn't see.
too. I played a Cheryl Gal in that one too.
Are you being typecast as well?
I know. Damn it! Just because I grew up in a Cheryl Gal. Come on.
Now, Reggie, I know right now, and Gigi, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so we're not really doing too much. But once everything gets back to normal, whatever that is, what do you have in the works? Any new movies that you'll be working on? Any scripts? Anything you're producing?
Yeah, speak for yourself. I am currently directing the Women of Phantasm documentary.
Yep.
The documentary with balls, and we
Love
were
it.
put on hold to a certain degree because we still had some scenes or some interviews that we needed to collect, but we simply switched gears and we started on the post-production of it, and so we're working diligently because what we're doing is we have the master documentary and then that we are editing currently, but we are also we have each individual interview is its own documentary. So, so that when we're done, we are going to have a complete box set ready to go.
That's
Wow.
great.
It's going to be very cool.
Yeah, that's a cool concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
What we planned was to have the master documentary was ready to go to festival circuit, and then when it's done, then we could talk to. I'm not going to mention their names, but we have a few distributors that are interested in us uh, to put the set together. But that's what we want. We really are, because the fans want it. We would like to hold out for a Sphere set.
Yes.
With all each individual interview. As well as the master interview, and then some extra behind the scenes, as well as some other never before seen stuff that we want to incorporate.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then another project we have is a project that I'm working with the Rim of the World High School Drama Club and AV Club on. It's called, they called it MASH 2020. It's called the Mountain Area Service Heroes 2020. It's a part of the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. And so we are collecting stories of veterans, and we're going to start interviewing the local veterans and putting that together as a documentary.
That's
And
great.
we were just about to start that and ramp up to start that when the virus thing hit.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of, that got floored, and so we kind of have to revisit that one.
Right, because we're both veterans.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Oh.
He's Vietnam, I'm Grenada era.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Very kind, thank you.
You got it, babe.
But what we want to do with that is we want to use it not only to raise awareness that we are losing 22 veterans every day to suicide, but also to raise awareness that now with COVID, now we have even more veterans that we're losing, but also to raise awareness that our audiovisual, our film, and our drama departments of our high schools, especially rural high schools, are going by the wayside.
They're disappearing. Yeah.
They're disappearing because of the lack of funding. So we would like to use this as an anchor project to try to raise money for equipment and teachers, and to obtain grants to refund and rebuild the departments at Rim of the World High School and other schools around the country.
Wow.
That's our second project. And then I also have some scripts that I'm working on, one of which I had no idea that was going to be prescient at this moment. It's called Magellan's, which is Magellan's is it's a parasite that it attaches into your system, and it develops fibers in your under your subcutaneous muscles and epidermis and everything, and it will slowly take over your system. And so the concept that we suddenly have a pandemic, and I was coming up with this script
And
about
all of a sudden,
Right? Yeah.
what?
The lines are blurred between fact and fiction.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's true. Blurred. You're
so,
right.
Yeah. So, and then there's a third project that I can't talk about that's very near to my heart. So, yep.
Well,
Yep.
you're definitely busy. Even the pandemic can't slow you down.
Nope.
Now, Reggie, are you continuing with your music?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
You know, I play. I'm not really pursuing anything right now with it, but it's always been, you know, a trip between music, theater arts, you know, film, for me, because it's like, you know, two great things going on in my life. You know, it's like, you know, God blessed me or cursed me with, you know.
Well, we do have we have one project for him that it's been kind of an ongoing thing, but we're financially and technologically challenged on it. We have thanks to a friend of ours, Mark Holland, we have MP3s.
Oh, right.
Of, I think it's MP3s. We have recordings of his live performances at the West Coast Bodega back in the 80s.
Yeah, it was a folk club.
And
I played all the folk clubs growing up.
That's awesome.
We want to release an album called Live at the West Coast Bodega. Unfiltered, unedited, just basically compiled, and with a little bit of remastering. But once we have the funding, we want to release that as Live at the West Coast Bodega. And it actually has him, you know, talking to the audience. It has the audience talking back to him.
It's like a straight up performance, you
Yeah.
know, like a live performance.
Love it.
Like being there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being there. Yeah, I like that.
All right. Well, Reggie, Gigi, it's great talking to you. John, do you have any other questions for them?
I think I'm good. You beat me to the punch with the music one, which I'm excited about. I'll buy that album the day it comes out. I'm a music guy, so.
Have a ball, you guys. Have a ball. Everybody who digs anything that we do, we love you too. Okay? I know that rhymes, but it's true.
We're hot as
Oh, wait,
love.
true.
Yeah, that is love.
Well,
Couldn't have said it better. It's a perfect way to end it. You two are the best. Thank you very much for being on the show. I really do
Thank you
appreciate
so much. Yeah.
Love you guys.
thanks for
Thanks for the
Jim.
Love you too. Thanks for all the entertainment too. Means the world.
Keep up the great work that you're doing behind the scenes with the veterans and everything. Keep up the great movies, because I'll always be there, the first one to buy the ticket.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
man.
Rich. Thank you,
Yeah,
John.
I want to encourage, we both want to encourage, especially young people. If you want to make a film, do
Be
it.
Nike.
Do it.
Be Nike.
Go rent a camera somewhere if you don't, you know, have the money to own one. Rent one. You know, shoot it on weekends because you get a better deal on rentals.
That's how I made my first movie. Yeah.
Lights and the
Your
the
cell
enchilada.
phone is not just for dirty movies.
Oh, now you tell me.
We love you guys.
Love you too.
Okay.
All right.
Take
All right.
care.
Take
All right.
care.
That wraps up our special edition of Real Talk with Rich and John. I would love to thank my multi-talented and extremely nice guest, Reggie Bannister, along with his lovely wife, Gigi, the anti-Yoko. Again, it's an honor to have both of you on the show. Look forward to all the great things that are coming up in the future, and hope to see you soon.
Happy that.